21 years of misery, no more. It's over, folks. It's all over. We're playoff bound, baby. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Sunday, October 2nd, 2022. This is Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description below. All right. I know we took yesterday off. I'm sorry that we didn't get you a show right away, but special circumstances, all right? Colby was at the ballpark. I celebrated a lot by myself and my lonesome, like a sap up here north of the border. Indeed. But, you know, I listened to the NHTSA. You know, I stayed at home like a good boy. Mm-hmm. So don't worry, folks. I was responsible. On the show today, we'll be reliving the magical moment a man named Big Dumper made dreams come true. And the celebration that followed will also tell you where things stand for the Mariners from a seeding perspective. We're here, folks. We are here right now. It is so nice to be on the show right now talking about a playoff team. For the first time in 21 years, we're talking about a damn playoff team. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Colby, you were there at the ballpark on Friday. Things worked out perfectly. They worked out exactly how we wanted them to. The Orioles win against the Yankees, and it's all up to the Mariners to win this game. And of course, They couldn't blow out the A's, 8-0. Couldn't have, blown them out 10-0, whatever. Had to be a 1-1 game in the bottom of the ninth. And at that moment, I'm thinking, all right, Mitch is going to do it. Okay, Mitch doesn't do it. All right. Carlos Santana, this guy who's been to the playoffs before, he's had some big home runs in the past, he's going to end it. Nope. Not Carlos Santana. Well, here comes Cal Raleigh. And on
off the
bench, pinch hitting for Luis Torrens. And on a 3-2 count, after sitting fastball for most of the at-bat, gets a slider down and out of the zone and drives it all the way off the windows of the Hit It Here Cafe to end the drought with an exclamation point. 15 exclamation points. What was going through your head when you saw that? And when you saw him make contact with the ball, did everyone in that ballpark know it was gone? Like I knew when I saw it, because I let out a scream that let's just say wouldn't have made me look great in the public eye, but I let out the biggest scream and the tears immediately started flowing. But did you know that ball was gone as soon as he made contact with it?
I knew it had the distance, but my angle was kind of, because I was in row 16 by the Mariners dugout, right by the entrance of the Mariners dugout. So my angle down the left field line was immaculate. My angle down the right field line was non-existent. So I knew he hit it hard enough and far enough. I was just worried it was going to hook foul. And I think, part of that is still a little bit of the old Mariners mentality. Like, oh, of course this is going to hook foul, because that's what things happen in Seattle. But then, it bangs off the Hit It Here Cafe, and, you're hyped when he hits it, because you're like, oh, please, please, please. And then once you see that it's fair, you just kind of, black out almost, you erupt, and you finally let yourself believe that, it's over, it's done. And it's just funny. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to watch the game in the early innings, but I'm also watching Baltimore and New York on my phone. And, New York's got the tying run on second, and Aaron Judge is up in the eighth. And I'm just sitting there like, I mean, come on. Like, because I did really wanted that moment, but for the entire game, I couldn't get my shoulders to relax. Like, I was just like, so like bound up and it through it all, and just trying to soak it all in. And Appreciate it. It didn't even end the way I thought it would. Like I was highly anticipating, Seattle being up like 2-1 in the ninth and Seawald's out there and the kind of the traditional way you clinch. But of course not this team.
No, not this team. No.
They can't clinch the normal way. They have to walk it off. With the mammoth home run. Probably the biggest home run in Mariners history. I mean, we talk about some of the bigger hits in this franchise's history, the double. There hasn't really been a massive home run. I mean, Edgar Martinez's grand slam in game 3, the DS, but I think this is probably the biggest home run in Mariners history. It's going to be hard to top until somebody walks off a playoff game with a bomb. Then that'll probably top it. But yeah, it was just awesome because, you're sitting there watching Cal Raleigh and he gets into 2 hitters counts. He's 2-0 and he's 3-1 and he was guessing fastball and he was trying to ambush it both times. And you're just sitting there like, I don't think you're going to get a fastball, Cal. And then, he fouls off the 3-2 pitch. And then the next one actually below the zone, he went down and he got it and he kind of golfed it out of there. And it was, his pandemonium and it was celebration time and it was just awesome to be there, look around the ballpark, see people's reactions and just kind of celebrate with 45,000 people.
I knew that it was going to happen as the game continued to progress. It was just like, yeah, they're going to win this game. And it was really like, I felt honestly pretty calm throughout most of the game until it started to become clear, like, oh, if it happens, it's going to happen like in the next, 10 minutes. It's going to happen in the next 15 minutes. It's going to like this moment that I've been waiting pretty much my entire life for is going to happen. And then just my stomach turned into knots. Just like I'm like leaning over, watching the TV, like bless my wife, Caroline. She was holding my hand through it. It was awesome. And she said that was the hardest she's ever heard me cry when it happened. Because it happened immediately. It didn't even take Cal to get to second before I was bawling like a little baby. Just seeing that, I mean, Colby, I don't know how you feel. This, to me, though, greatest sports memory for me. Better than the NFC Championship. Better than both of the NFC Championships, all 3 of the NFC Championships. Better than the Super Bowl win. Better than all of that. Greatest sports memory for me ever. And of course, the Mariners, I think, are going to create a lot of even better memories for us in the near future. But I still can't, we knew that they were going to clinch. We've been talking about this for the last, month, because it was starting to look more clear.
Math.
Yeah, math, basically. Math was telling us it's going to happen. However, it didn't matter in that moment. There was no edge taken off because we knew it was coming. There was none of that. Just knowing that it was finally over, knowing that they did it on their own terms, and knowing that they did it in the most perfect way possible to do it in front of those fans, in front of that town, in front of a sold-out T-Mobile Park that has hardly ever seen high leverage games. One of the most beautiful parks in baseball. It's an absolute crime that this stadium hasn't seen moments like this more often. And just for that to happen, I mean, it was just it was everything. And me, just kind of losing it there on the spot. I mean, it was a release of years and years and years of frustration and pain and getting so close in the last few years, getting up to the last day or the last couple of days and being told, no, you can't have this. You can't have this. Well, I finally got it. I finally got it. We all finally got it. We've all finally got to get this monkey off of our backs. And now we can just relax and watch baseball and have fun watching baseball. And there's no more talk of the drought. It's over. We don't have to talk about it. And by the way, folks, you guys want to root for the Phillies to make it, because if the Phillies make it, because they have the longest drought now. The Phillies make it. Guess who has the longest drought? Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
The Donald Angels.
The Donald Washington Angels.
That's right. It'll be delicious. So yeah, I think what's interesting about this year, drought breaking, is that it felt like for a long time, and still to this day, like Seattle Mariners fandom was stuck in 1995. Even after the 2001 season, even after they made the playoffs 3 times after that, it just felt like everything in this organization revolved around 95. And it's easy to see why. There's been very little success in this organization, and that's kind of the first major event in franchise history. It literally saved the franchise. So I understand why, but it was time to turn the page on that and start focusing on the here, the now. And so what I thought was pretty cool is the celebration or the pregame festivities, whatever you want to call them. No mention of 95, no mention of 2000, 2001, nothing like that. Fans throughout the first pitch. It was Fan Appreciation Day. They did their ultimate fans for each of the Northwest states, and it was all about the fan base, and it was all about the 2022 team. There was no mention. They didn't put Edgar up on the board, right? They didn't put Dan or Jamie or Ken. No highlights, none of that. It was all about the team that was on the field. It was all about the fans that were in the stadium and were watching. And I appreciate that because it is time to turn the chapter here. That was a great moment in Mariners history, the 95 through 2001 teams, the best that we've ever seen in Seattle. And so I think it's important to celebrate them and to, recognize their importance, but it's also important to finally turn the dang page and let's focus on the future and the now instead of constantly going back and being like, well, in 95 they did this. Well, in 2001 they did. Like, it doesn't matter, right? It is time to turn the page, and this team is writing the new chapter, and this team is going to write the best chapter in Mariners history because everything is lined up for them to do exactly that. So it's just kind of a culmination of not only like rebuild over, but also we're nowhere near starting the next one. It's the window is we kick the window down, and we're not letting it close on us again. It just felt like all of that was happening with one swing, and it's fitting that the stars of the game are Logan Gilbert and Cal Raleigh, 2 guys drafted and developed. Yep, 2 guys drafted and developed by this front office, by this player development system, and they're the ones who carry you to the promised land. So it was awesome.
Colby, for the last 4 or so years that you and I have been podcasting together, covering this rebuild, we have talked about the next great era of Mariners baseball. We've talked about rounding the corner, getting finally to the home stretch. Well, folks, we're here. This is it. It's begun. The drought is over. And this Mariners team, they're kicking ass right now. It's awesome. So, hey, I want to ask you about, more about your experience at the ballpark. I also want to talk more about Cal Raleigh in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to our listeners by Built Bar. And you know what? It's a special episode. It's a special occasion. And while this isn't in the script, Thanksgiving is happening in Canada next week, so I'm going to hit you with this. I love Thanksgiving. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. You ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Chills. Let me introduce you to your new favorite. Cookie dough chunk puffs have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All of the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it, plus it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. So run to Built.com to snag a box for you and the family. It will be the perfect treat, or you can find a really good hiding place. Just hoard them for yourself. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKEDON15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKEDON15, that's LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your order at Built.com. I love Thanksgiving. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Cal Raleigh, Colby, is a Mariners legend, and I am not using that in the ironic sense that I usually do when I call players Mariners legends. No, Cal Raleigh is literally a Mariners legend. He cemented himself as one with that home run on Friday night. it really doesn't matter what happens for the rest of his career. He will always be a Mariners legend for that one moment. He immortalized himself in the lore of Mariners baseball. That guy will never have to buy another drink or meal or what have you in the city of Seattle as long as he lives. Dude is an absolute stud, and I can't get over how funny it is that the Mariners' 21-year playoff drought was ended by a guy nicknamed Big Dumper. It's incredible. Do you like that people are calling Friday night's game the Big Dump?
No, but like, I'm not going to stop anybody, but it seems oversimplistic, but okay. Like, Scott Servers finally acknowledged the nickname and all that stuff. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, no, it's a terrible name for this game. I'll just say
it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so disrespectful to this game. It's so disrespectful to the game.
Maybe we can think of something better a little later, but yeah, no, not a fan of that. Not a fan of that.
It's so bad. It's so bad. However, Cal Raleigh, you're obviously not watching the show, but if somehow you are, or somehow this clip gets sent to you, whatever, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts. Wow. Just amazing. All right. So your experience at the ballpark was pretty awesome. Aside from, the fact that you got to see this team in 21 years of misery. That is the important part. But you caught a foul ball from Luis Torrens?
You know what? I should have brought that into the studio.
You probably should have.
Tomorrow, you will see the foul ball I caught.
Tomorrow. Awesome. Are you going to get in a case and all that stuff?
Probably.
Yeah. Got to do that. Especially for that game. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. I saw someone tweet that they walked up to you and called you Ty by accident, which Yep. I'm getting mentioned on Twitter for someone asking to take a selfie with you. You're taking selfies at the ballpark. You're in these photos on the T-Mobile Park page. I mean, Mr. Celebrity over here. You were having a hell of a night on Friday, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think everybody's really excited about what was happening, and I met a few people. Wanted to give a shout out to Jeff, Morgan, and Elvis. There were a couple others whose names I didn't quite catch. If that was you, let me know. Just hit us up on Twitter. I'll give you a shout out or email. I'll give you a shout out on the next show whenever we get that information. But yeah, at 4, 5, 6 people, something like that, mentioned that they liked the show, and only one person mentioned you. So just kind of the way it works.
Is that the person that mistook you for me? Yeah,
that's pretty sure that was Morgan, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's the only time that I got mentioned. Dang.
Yeah, Morgan's a big fan of you. No, I think somebody else said I like the show Ty and you do. So yeah,
okay, there we go.
It'd probably be different. If they were running into you, they wouldn't mention me. But I'm kind of a star. So
that's true.
But no, it was a fun experience. It kind of cut some of the tension that was in the ballpark a little bit, just because. I think we were all there to watch the Mariners, in this drought, but also, trying to reconcile that, like, it's just one game. If they don't clinch today, they'll clinch tomorrow, but everything lined up. Baltimore lost, it's a close game. Logan Gilbert shoved, and it just, it was building and building, and good thing they did win, because Baltimore lost the next day. And so they would have clinched off the field. So yeah, it was just fun to, kind of have those little random things break up, what was a pretty tense situation. Found out later that I think I was one section over from Jordan and Chris Crawford. They were seated somewhere near me. I found out after the fact, so would have been cool to get a picture there, but you do what you do. And it was fun, got my first ever foul ball, and it was at that game. So yeah, I can't complain. Friday night was awesome.
Something I can't say I've ever received either. I've caught a ball in BP from a Royals hitter at Rogers Center. That's it, and gave the ball to a kid. So yeah,
there were kids around me, and I was like,
"You broke your rule, Colby. You broke your rule."
I did for a couple of reasons. One, I took my mom to the game. She's a huge Mariners fan. So we went to the game together. And she had never caught a ball before, so I offered it to her. And then, it's like, yeah, she wanted to keep it. Okay, cool. And so we kept it. And then I was thinking, like, good thing I didn't give that ball away because, ball's a little bit of history now because it's from the game, the big dump or whatever we're going to call it. Yuck.
Oh, God. Can we please come up with a new... Here, actually, real quick. Sorry to interrupt. But everyone that's watching right now, if you are watching right now, stop what you're doing. Go into the comments section right now on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube. And let's come up with a different name here. Let's brainstorm here. Let's come up with a new name for this game, and then we'll pick whichever one is our favorite, and we'll roll with it. Unless all of your submissions suck.
I like the Rainmaker game myself.
I like it.
But by the way, get back to this in a second. Robbie Ray just gave up a solo home run, and then Abraham Toro had his second horrendous throw of the day. So things are going great for the Mariners right now on the field, but who cares? So, and the nice thing about the foul ball is it was hit by one of the guys that I have absolutely stand this year, Luis Torrens. So, it was fun.
The crazy thing too, by the way. So I don't know if you remember, but when you DM me that you just caught a foul ball from Luis Torrens, I was like, I thought that was you. There was a guy that caught another foul ball from Luis Torrens that looked exactly like you, but then I was like, wait, you're sitting like behind home plate. That guy was like in left field, and I'm like, how? What? Who is this Colby clone that just caught this ball? How is that possible? I got completely fooled. But yeah, your doppelganger was at the game, by the way, just so you know.
By the way, I just saw Luis Torrens. He's catching today. He's wearing a Ham Swaggerty headband under his catcher's mask. So yes, it was like I said, it was a ton of fun. Ran into some people, caught a foul ball, obviously, in the party afterwards, nightclub feel, and then fireworks to top it all off, and it was just cool to be a part of that.
So yeah, the celebration afterward.
Ray gives up a 2-run home run to Pache.
Oh,
you go ahead and shut him down for now.
Yeah. So we'll see you in Toronto or wherever, Robbie, and we'll be talking about potential matchups here in just a moment. But I want to talk about the celebration after. I wanted to soak it all in. I watched every single minute of the post-game show because I've never gotten to see the Mariners pop champagne, celebrate. I've never experienced that truly. So I soaked it all in, and the interviews were incredible. Gino was absolutely drunk out of his mind. It was awesome. His interview was electric. They were all just absolutely destroyed, especially once they got back on the field. Scott, I don't think I've ever heard Scott Service's voice go that high in his speech on the field. That was it was so perfect. It was so funny. But I want to give a special shout out to Matthew Boyd. I don't know if you got a chance to watch his interview with Angie Mintink. Yeah. Because he's the one that can relate to us the most. He was a fan like us. He was a kid, just watching this team, watching Ishiro the last time they were in. He knows how, the pain that we've all kind of collectively gone through over the last 2 decades. And, it was chilling, honestly, to kind of see that reaction from him, specifically on the field, and then in that interview, and just you could see him kind of in the background during Scott's speech that he had in the clubhouse as well afterward, and just that emotion. Really, I'm kind of I wasn't like, obviously you guys know I wasn't a huge fan of what the Mariners did on the deadline after they they got Luis Castillo, but I'm so glad that Matthew Boyd is a Seattle Mariner. I'm so glad that he got to be a part of this. I'm so glad that Jared Kelenic got to be a part of this. There was just so many players that I was thinking about in that moment that I'm just like, I'm so glad that they got to be here and got to be a part of this thing and got to do it. And got to be a part of that club that did it, that finally ended it. And that's just kind of when the emotions, because there was like 3 different times that the emotions just overwhelmed me. The other time was seeing Jerry, seeing Jerry, seeing that whole team, seeing Scott Hunter, seeing Scott Service, seeing all those guys come together, and seeing
the general manager Justin Hollander.
New general manager
also,
Justin
yes.
Hollander. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. There's a lot going on with the Mariners right now. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow. But Justin Hollander finally officially the general manager of the Seattle Mariners now, with Jerry, of course, getting the promotion to president of baseball operations last year with his extension. So
yeah, we'd speculated that this was or had already happened.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
not that surprising, but yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But just seeing all of those guys, seeing that the plan works, seeing that, they were right. And it was hard not to feel vindicated. I gotta be real. I don't want to like.
Were right.
We were right. I don't want to pat myself on the back here, pat ourselves on the back here, but I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit.
All you haters can suck it. Because we were right, you were wrong.
Shout out to all the people that called us DePoto bootlickers. Mm-hmm. It's not like we were just being objective and could see that, hey, maybe this guy and his team, kind of knows what they're doing and is kind of building something special here. Nah, we're just bootlickers. We're just, stands. We're blind.
Shout out to John Heyman for running and hiding like a little baby, still not acknowledging the Mariners.
Still hasn't mentioned the Mariners.
Nope, not yet.
Yeah.
Shout out to the certain other people that we've talked about on other shows that called us losers and crazy and said we were complacent in losing when Jerry was building this thing, and that Jerry should be fired, and Scott is worthless, and there's nothing ever going to happen good for this organization. And by the way, I suspect in the next few days we'll see them move the goalpost yet again. Y'all were wrong.
Oh, we're already seeing it, by the way. Well, they're only going to get in as the 6th team. Well, they're the 5th team right now, which brings us to our last segment here, or not even a segment, really.
That. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I had some other things I want to mention.
I had a great segue, Colby. All right.
Well, now you don't, because I think there's 2 people that we got to give some attention to here. How about the calls from Dave Sims and Rick Riz? Both of them exceptional. And one of the coolest moments, I think, after during the post game and the celebration, all that stuff. Well, first of all, I would say that by the time the fireworks started, which was about an hour and change after the last pitch, there were still probably 35,000 people there. Like, insane number of people stuck around for the entire thing. And in the aftermath, obviously I saw maybe 3 people leave my section after the initial celebration at home plate and all that stuff. So most people stayed for the entire thing. But one of the coolest moments was they were showing, various people in the crowd and like, on the Jumbotron and all that stuff. And they flashed up the broadcast booth, and they put Rick Riz up there. And it was fun because Riz didn't realize it, but everybody in our section and, it looked like throughout most of the ballpark was waving at Rick Riz, trying to get his attention. And when he finally realized what was happening, he stood up, he acknowledged, and about 40,000 people gave him a standing ovation. It was really cool to see because, Riz is as big a part of the Mariners history as anybody. And he deserves that recognition. And it was hard not to look up at Riz and see the plaque that's up there, the Dave Niehaus, and think about Dave. And that's, emotions start going again when you think about Riz and you think about Dave and what they mean to the Mariners and what they mean to, just the history of baseball in the Pacific Northwest. And it's a shame that Dave wasn't around to see this team. He would have loved these guys so much.
God, he would have loved them.
It was just amazing to see, Mariners fans want to acknowledge Rick Riz as a fan who went on the journey with them. And so it was really cool to see the reaction when he was put up on the video screen and everybody trying to wave and get his attention, and in the standing ovation that followed. It was awesome.
Yeah, I thought about Dave too, and that was kind of part of the reason I was balling as well, is like you said, he would have loved this team. He would have loved calling for Julio and everyone. I mean, you think about this team, the makeup of this team, and just the people that make this team what it is. And Dave, I mean, it would have been beautiful. But, we know that he's watching. We know that he's calling games from the golden broadcast booth in the sky. So that was it was a beautiful moment, though, to see Rick call that. I love that they put the broadcast cam in the booth there for him as well, on top of Dave Sims. And that's when the emotions kind of flooded over me for a fourth time, was seeing Rick call that. Because I mean, you think about him. I mean, he's been here for most of the existence of the Seattle Mariners. He went away to Detroit for a little bit there, and then came back, and he's been on this journey along with all of us, and has called a lot of bad baseball teams and baseball games, and for it's a vindication for him too. It's a vindication for all of us, but I think especially for Rick Riz, who's put the work in, who's followed this team forever and a day, and told the story of this team over so many decades now in the most beautiful fashion. It's a perfect moment for him to be able to call that.
Yeah,
and see that
I think
happen.
it's time we start a Riz for Hall of Fame hashtag or something. Guy's an absolute legend in the sport, and for all the complaining some of you guys love to do about Dave Sims, he again absolutely crushes it in the big moments. Some people don't like his style. Some people, like prominent people, don't really like his style. But man, I tell you what, he's the Kirk Gibson of the big moment, because he just goes up to the plate and he knocks it out of the park every time. Little bummed that Goldsmith, was on the call. Just had to take his national gig, I guess. But it's something he has to live with now for the rest of his life. In fact, I'm so upset, I'm moving Aaron Goldsmith down our board.
Whoa!
He's now number 2. He's now number 2. So yes, Goldsmith no longer the number 1 interview request. Now it's Julio, and then Goldsmith, and then Riz is right there. So I don't know. Goldie might fall out of the top 5. We'll have to see how that works. But no, it was awesome that again, and shout out to the Mariners. They I don't know if it was intentional or not, or if they just happened to because it was Fan Appreciation Day, they just happened to do what they were going to do anyways. But just it felt intentional that they were very much going to keep this about the 2022 team and the fans. There was not going to be any mention of past teams, and there wasn't until Scott pointed up at the banners in the rafter. So it was very cool and well executed party, I guess we'll say, by the Mariners PR and Mariners. Their game day presentation continues to be second to none.
And hey, we're getting a new banner finally. We're finally gonna
get put one up for a wild card.
Oh, they're gonna do it for the one that ended the drought. You got to put one up there. You have to put one up there.
They didn't do it in 2000, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to do it for this one. This one's a lot more special.
Up there for 2000.
I guess, but maybe you could do it more in the sense of just commemorating ending the drought rather than getting a wild card berth. Does that make sense? Like doing it from that perspective.
Like, they've only put them up for division titles and ALCS appearances.
Well,
so far, so.
Right after the game, when John Stanton came onto the field, you could see Scott Service motioning to the banners and John Stanton nodding his head. So I think that's what the plan is, that they are going to get a banner.
Or
as
Scott
per the
saying,
request.
We're going to put another one up there before the season's over. Just you wait.
That's true. It might be that too. It might be that too.
Feel a lot better about this that banner thing if Robbie Ray hadn't imploded today. But hey, you know what? The vibes are still immaculate. Things, are going great in Seattle. Ty's got a really good shot to watch the Blue Jays and the Mariners in Toronto because he's selfish. I mean, I guess if I get to watch the clincher, I guess it's only fair Ty gets to watch the first playoff game.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. I suppose.
I suppose.
Do I have tickets to the Wild Card 1 game if that happens to be in Seattle? Yes. Is that clouding my judgment? Maybe. But
it's not looking great for you right now.
No, especially with the way Robbie pitched today, and Tampa keeps losing, so it feels like it's going to be Seattle and Toronto.
So Tampa has lost again. The Mariners are at least going to be a game and a half over the Rays.
I think they're a full game.
full game.
Right now.
Yeah. So.
Well, a game and a half since they've already lost. So if they win, they'll be 2 up, and that would pretty much do it.
Right.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I know we got to run here, but I'm okay not facing Cleveland because Cleveland's been really, really good, basically since the Mariners left town.
Yeah, I'll say this during the week. I'm not scared of the Blue Jays.
No,
I'm not.
Ty, that's the difference between you and me because I'm not afraid of anybody.
I'm not scared. I'm
We're
not scared to compete.
Sweeping the Astros straight out of the DS. It doesn't matter. 3-game sweep. We're going to call up Kyle Lewis just so he can hit against Verlander. 3-run bomb. We're taking that thing.
I
all
tweeted
the way.
I tweeted on Friday night or Saturday morning, really, in my drunken stupor, that I want Toronto, and a lot of people responded. Well, not a lot, but like a couple people responded. No, you don't. You're scared to compete, folks. You are scared to compete. I want the Blue Jays. I want the Godslayer route. Honestly, I want to see if this team can do it.
When the 2013 Seahawks were doing their thing, did you want the 49ers or were you worried about No, you wanted the 49ers. I want the Blue Jays. I want the Astros. I want the Yankees. Let's do this. And you know what? I want the Dodgers.
And also, I need redemption because the last time I went to the Rogers Center to watch the Mariners play, it did not go particularly well for me.
Photographic evidence.
We have the photographic evidence. So that face that's in my header on Twitter, the Mariners got to do it for that guy this time around. So so it is looking like the Mariners are going to be coming here to my neck of the woods in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The COVID restrictions were, of course, lifted on Friday as well. So that means Robbie Ray can pitch in Toronto. That will be his next start, assuming that things stay pretty much in place here with the standings. Basically, if the Mariners lose today, they'll have to be 2 games better than the Blue Jays the rest of the way. They would more or less have to win all 4 games against the Tigers, while the Blue Jays go 1-2 against the Orioles. That's unlikely right now, let's just say. So all signs are pointing to them coming here. Of course, they could lose a couple games to Detroit while Tampa wins. I think Tampa is playing Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they play the Yankees. Oh, Tampa. Sorry, Tampa. Yes. Boston.
Yeah. So Boston really helped us out against the Orioles. Not at all against the Blue Jays, though. Not whatsoever.
They packed up shop after they beat the Orioles for us.
Yeah. Which hey, thank you, Boston. That was nice, though.
It's the first useful thing you've done since 1776. Good job.
Isn't it funny how last year we were rooting for the Orioles to beat the Blue Jays and beat the Red Sox. We were rooting against the Red Sox. Now a year later, we're rooting for the Red Sox. we're rooting for the Orioles again against the Blue Jays. And hey, that is going to be down in Baltimore. It's not going to be at the Rogers Center. So yeah, it's going to be down in Baltimore. So we'll see. But my expectations are pretty low. I think the Mariners are going to end up coming here. And if you're planning on making the trip north of the border, vaccine restrictions have been lifted, and that's made travel into the country a lot easier because now there aren't copious amounts of lines at the border now, at customs and everything like that, because we were having 6-hour waits at Toronto Pearson Airport. That's probably not going to be happening anymore from this point forward. So travel to Canada is a lot easier. So if you're looking to make the trip up, I am kind of interested in doing a potential meetup / rally type of thing. So let us know in the comments below if you would actually make the trip to Toronto. And yes, I know we got to wrap because we were going, but it's a special occasion.
Ty is petrified that I'm just going to be more famous than him, so he's trying to get people to come to Toronto.
Basically, I'm begging you to begging you to pay attention.
For the love of God, I need one person to come up to me in Toronto and say, "Hey, you're Ty from Locked On."
I can't deal with Colby getting all the attention. All right, I can't deal with that. I can't live with that.
Attention. 6 people out of about 80,000 recognize me. Yeah, attention.
So yeah, but I am looking to do something like that if we can. That would be cool. If not, even if there's only a couple of you, we could do a small thing or what have you. Just let me know down in the comments below. And if we do get enough interest, I kind of do need to start looking into maybe securing a restaurant or bar or something for an hour or what have you.
Go to Lasagna's place.
Oh yeah, Frankie Lasagna's. We could all go to Frankie Lasagna's. Let's do it. Let's go to Frankie Lasagna's. It's right there down by the ballpark too, I think. It's like literally like 5 minutes away from the ballpark.
There you go.
So, yeah. So, I have actually had a couple of people reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm making the trip." So that's cool. Hopefully we can get a lot of people up here. It'd be nice because like that atmosphere is going to be nuts in that ballpark. It is going to be incredibly hostile. You guys have seen the Jose Bautista home run. You've seen what that ballpark can be like during a playoff series. So it's going to be scary, especially for a lot of these young guys playing in their first postseason series. But chaos ball. That's all I got to say. Chaos ball. So, it always reigns supreme. So we'll see how it goes. But, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves yet. There's still, 4 days or 4 games left for the Mariners after today's game. And we'll see what happens today. They're down 3-0. But who knows? Chaos ball reign. Oh, it's 4-0 now.
Should probably take Robbie out of the game.
Yeah, probably.
Probably time to cut that cord.
Yeah, not great, but hey, Robbie Ray revenge game, hopefully coming up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't feel great about it. I'm gonna be real with you, but let's
Right. By the way, worth noting, and this is the last thing we're gonna say, and then you got to sign off because we're gonna get in trouble.
we really do.
Logan Gilbert is scheduled. They've already said Castillo will not make another start in the regular season.
Yep.
Logan Gilbert will only make his start on Wednesday if the team is playing for wildcard one. If they are not, they will go to somebody else. It sounds like it'd probably be Justice Sheffield, which, okay, sure. Why not?
Darren McCacken, whatever.
Yeah, so Flexen is already slated to pitch in the Detroit series. He will start one of the games. So if Gilbert does make that start on Wednesday, then your rotation is definitely going to be Castillo, Ray, and Kirby. I think it'll be anyways for that particular series, but we'll see. You never know. I think Gilbert's performance on Friday night at least put him back in the conversation.
All right. I'm not going to say anything else because I'll get off on another tangent here. So let's wrap the show. We still got Monday, we got Tuesday, we got Wednesday, and we even have Thursday to talk more about what's going on, what's to come, all this stuff. We're going to be getting you ready.
What is going on, Ty?
The Mariners are currently losing to the Oakland Athletics by a score of 4-0. So
I thought there was something about playoffs or drought or something. I guess. No.
Well, no, we'll be talking about how it's over, how this game signifies that it's over for the Mariners tomorrow. I'll be doing the flip flop thing where I'm like, I think they're 2 and done, and then I think they're making the World Series. I think they're 2 and done. Oh, they're making the World Series. No, none of that. We're gonna get you ready for the postseason. It's gonna be a hell of a week on this show, folks. I'm so excited. So yeah, that's gonna do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to. What the hell are you doing? Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. It's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen. Now make your second listen. The Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Peace.